Welcome back to the greenhouse, everyone. My son is down there getting a fire going. It's pretty chilly outside today. We just came out of the polar vortex, so sitting at 22 to 23 degrees Fahrenheit. I will put the Celsius down on the screen there, trying to get all units of measurement for everybody incorporated anymore. So thank you guys for stopping by, checking out this video. You must be interested in our wood stove and the free fuel that we're using. 100% free, dropped off, basically shipped right to the greenhouse doorstep. All we got to do is let it sit and dry it out a bit. So there is quite a bit involved with the free fuel source, but I want to check it out today and just run through some things that we've been working on and things that we're going to be working on. So if that sounds interesting, please consider subscribing. Let's go check out what we've got going on. Now, I keep stating that we have a greenhouse frog and stuff. That train way down there. So we came out today. I'm going to zoom in and try not to scare this guy. But the screen doesn't even do it justice. That is a giant bullfrog hanging out in the greenhouse. He's hopping back and forth from the pond, and he is sitting right next to the geothermal tube. So quite interesting. He was floating around in here the other day after that polar vortex broke. He came out and started moving around, and he's hanging out in the greenhouse like it's summertime. Got a ton of copper here and even more out back, so we'll be having a bunch of foundry videos, and that's pretty much what we've been working on here out back. Whew. I need my coat to come out here. So we've got ourselves some nice foundry areas. So we've got a small kiln and a larger kiln. This is going to be the brick kiln, and you can see that we've got our own bricks lining the floor of this thing. So we haven't even burnt in here yet. Just a nice little rebuild, not 100% finished either. I'm going to use some type of steel plate with a hole or something in the top to build up some heat there. We ended up starting multiple fires and just kept it going so we could thaw the ground. I mean, all of this stuff, it's frozen solid. It's freaking cold out here. Coat acquired. A little bit nicer to be out here. So let's check out the first free source, pallets. We've got tons and tons of pallets I can grab from work for free any day I want. Anywhere pretty well gives pallets away, so there's not that hard to find. Now, we basically built ourselves a wood chip dryer. Got a bunch of wood chips over there, probably couple tons anyway left. Now we've been hauling them over here wheelbarrow at a time, and we've just dumped them and heaved them up with a shovel. And as I kind of bounce them around, you can see that all the small pieces fall through. Now this is also a giant sifter. So with our giant sifter, we basically created ourselves a drying rack where it pre-stages. So we're pre-staging all of these wood chips up, and I can lay this piece of tin if we're going to get rain and I have dry wood chips. So all of these shards of wood are solid. They're good wood to burn. And all these wood chips fit very well in our potbelly style stove. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. We've been using this to basically pre-stage all of the wood chips that make their way over to the shelter here. Now, we've got all of these that are dried basically. I got like half of a whole rack, filled it onto here, brought it over, brought more wood chips over and threw them up to dry more. We've got a bucket hanging with a bunch of dry wood chips in it. I've got plenty of sifters and plenty more buckets. I've got tons of buckets. So hanging buckets from the rafters and basically having enough to fill a 5-gallon bucket right here to put inside the greenhouse. So this is the final resting point of all of the wood chips. We're able to run through this little system that we've created using a 100% free resource. We've got all 12 tons of this and another 5 tons over there that have been dumped for absolutely free. We're basically able to landscape with it, use it for firewood, use it for compost heat, using it for plant food, compost, all types of stuff. There is unlimited uses for all of these free wood chips. And don't forget about the pallets. They are a little bit more work, but they work just the same and they provide good hardwood to burn. You can see all of our scrap copper that is just a conglomerate mess back here. My son was helping me with his excavator move some of the soil. While we're out here, we've got a new recycled roof. Got a couple bullet holes and nail marks and stuff, but for the most part, this thing holds the water out. I mean, for free, I can't really complain. I did add a little bit more bracing to the actual roof itself and kind of sealed in the walls. We've got a very nice little dry space for all of our wood drying, our brick drying. Got a nice little brick drying shelf here. These are going to be going in the kiln here in the next video or two, along with our waste oil feed. I've got like a couple feet of recycled copper I'm going to use to feed some waste oil so we can melt some copper and melt some aluminum with a little bit less energy wasted in charcoal that we have to create and all of our wood chips. So I think I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about out here. Just all the little details and the way we move through our system. It's freaking cold out here. With the moisture level and the temperature and a little bit of wind, man, it just sucks the heat right out of your hands and ears and everything. Coming out of the polar vortex, it's a kind of a blessing to have anything above 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm not really complaining, but I guess I'm complaining at the same time. Yeah, Dad. So running a cycle through that system of bringing wood chips over, throwing it up, letting it dry out for a couple days to a week, and then cycling it into our shed, our dry shed. We're able to get enough BTUs from 1 5-gallon bucket to run us for about a day. So constantly cycling that, we could put a ton of heat, and we don't burn this stove every day. It's more of a convenience thing when we're out here working, we want to cook, we want to do experiments, or if we have a negative temperature coming. Like tonight, for instance, is going to be maybe like 11 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. We've got a fire going. We're putting a little bit of thermal mass in here. I mean, I've had the doors open and I can see my breath, but it is so much warmer in here than it is outside. I am warming up and I can feel my hands again. So why is it so important to have wood as dry as it can be? Because it wastes a ton of energy and it puts a lot more residue into your system. So you're having 2 negative impacts just from having damp wood. Now, if you're burning dry wood, and we're going to relate this to wood chips here. So 1 ton of wood chips is about 11.5 million BTUs. Now let's relate that to wet wood chips. Now, if we had a ton of wet wood chips, we'd be sitting at about 8 million BTUs that we could create because we're using BTUs to dry the chips as they're getting burned. So we're wasting like 1/4 of the potential energy as heat just to dry the wood chips and put more steam and more residue into our pipes. Now relating that to pallets, a small pallet's 32, 33 pounds and a large pallet is about 45 to 48 pounds. So your smaller 33-pound pallet, if broken down and completely burned, you can get about 261,000 BTUs out of just that 1 pallet. Now with a larger 48-pound pallet, you're going to get close to 330, 340,000 BTUs out of just that 1 pallet. We've got free resources for days using old pallets and recycled wood chips that nobody wants. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. My son said he had some cool science experiments for kids. If there's anybody that wants to show some science videos to their kids, drop us a comment. We'll do a kids section of videos. So maybe we'll just start a new channel for him to do science experiments for other kids. I don't know. I don't think kids would want to listen to my boring speeches very much. So stay tuned for all the cool experiments we've got coming. We're going to be recycling a bunch of copper, aluminum, basically anything that we can recycle and find a repurpose for it. We're going to try and make ourselves some bricks with foundry molds. If anybody has anything for us, drop it in the comments below. We're always open and we try and get back to everybody. There is always hundreds of comments, no matter what. We get new comments every day. So trying to get back to everybody as quick as we can. So thank you guys for being patient and giving your input and most of all, watching what we're doing. So thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys in the next video.